All right, guys, we're gonna do Green Lantern issue 53 from DC Comics by Ron Marz, Darryl Banks, and I don't know this guy, but probably his name is in here. Anyway, this is exactly what's going to happen in the comic book, because Mongul, who tackled with Superman before and other heroes as well, wants to kill our newbie Green Lantern, Rayner. But then Superman swoops in and he wants a rematch because what happened at Coast City, right? Yeah, so this is basically an all-out slugfest. I must say, like I said, I'm reading these comics again to see how they hold up. I think this still holds up, but some panels looks a little bit, I don't know, stiff somehow. Anyway, so Alex says, "Hey, are you hurt?" I said, "Hey, it's Superman," he says. All right, so, but also, Mongul wants to find Superman, but Superman found him first, and therefore they're gonna have a battle. So Alex basically, warns Kyle, says, "Hey, what are you doing? This guy's out of your league, big monster." But he says, "Well, all the more reason to help Superman. How often am I gonna get a chance like this?" He says, but she says, "Okay, listen, yeah, I don't do anything stupid. Come on, Alex, what are the chances of that?" Well, pretty high. But, he attacks with his ring, so he's getting a little bit more the hang of it. Now, I must say this panel looks a little bit weird, mostly because it looks like Mongul lost his head somehow. I know what it's doing, he's getting an energy blast in the face, but probably it would have been better that the head will still be there, but then covered with green energy or something like that. This looks a little bit weird. So Superman says, "Who are you?" Oh, it's obvious, but before he can answer, Mongul swats him away into the sea, the river. I don't know, but he's going under. Alex is worried, but pretty predictable. Green glow, starting, doing this. Well, Mongul takes care of Superman. I like Alex. She's a cool character in here. And so he emerges from the sea, and he has enough of it, right? And so Mongul swears not go back to this infernal prison. So Kal basically hits him from behind, and so like I said, it's not bad, but it's just, I don't know, it feels sometimes a little bit stiff. Maybe certain panel layouts would have been different, but on the other hand, I like Darryl Banks. He's a cool artist. I like his work a lot. Probably, because I grew up with all these characters, there's a little bit nostalgia thing going on. And it's also fun to see Kal, who is now full-fledged Green Lantern, has also been the chosen one for a certain time. He became a White Lantern or something like that. I cannot remember really the whole details. I have to reread certain issues to find out, but he was at some points pretty powerful, more powerful than a Green Lantern. But still, it's cool to see him in his rookie days. I like the shot. Pretty cool is the word of today, I guess. I also like, he wants to murder Kal, right? And Superman just grabs him from behind, although Mongul is way bigger and he just cloggers him. So he introduces, hey, I'm Superman. I'm Green Lantern. Not the one I know. But before he can answer, Mongul just attacks. And they are now working together. So, but also Superman says, hey, the Guardian must be pleased to have you as a core member. Basically complimenting Kyle. Guardians? Core members? I have no idea what you're talking about. All right. Mongul's intergalactic conqueror, Green Lantern, stopped him after he took part in Coast City's destruction. This happened after the death of Superman, when Superman came back, right? And it was such a cool. I believe I have all the books. I have to find out, otherwise we're going to do the death of Superman thing. That would be cool. I have to check that out. Anyway, but Guile says, "I'm not that guy." I like this. Yeah, it looks great. Again, like I said, I'm criticized Darryl a little bit about some stiff pages, but maybe I was a little bit overreacting. But so Superman hits him from behind, and Kal uses his Green Lantern power to bury Mongul beneath the sand, but then he said, using heat to fuse the sand to glass and trap him. I could have done that if I thought about it. But, glass, come on. This is Mongul we're talking about, right? So he breaks out. And then I wonder when he was using his weapons in his suit. Yes, he has, this power beam or death beam. Because, he likes to splatter people. Saying squash people and have to splatter blood on his face or on his fist. And, he's that sadistic. But, he has other weapons as well. But Kal is not worried. Superman warns him, hey, you should be careful. The reason why you should be careful, I'm going to explain that a little in a second. Probably most of you will know it. But Kal just boasts, hey, as far as I know, this is the most powerful weapon in the world or in the galaxy. You can do nothing to me. So he shoots a yellow power beam, killing beam, death beam, laser. And Superman wonders why his ring is not affected. Because, maybe you do not know or you do know, but at one time, all Green Lanterns has an imperfection against the color yellow. So if the color yellow hits the constructs, it just breaks, because it just cannot, it's a weakness. It's their kryptonite. But Kal doesn't know anything about it. So the impurity here is gone. And it's later been explained that because, they just, what was the explanation? I forgot. But, this is a different ring, although I thought, if I remember correctly, this was original's Hal Jordan's ring, but then without the impurity. Again, I have to reread it. Okay. But Mongul, doesn't care. He has also this yellow complexity, right? Mongul doesn't care. He grabs the shield, breaks it in half. But then Superman comes in and just smacks him. Again, like I said, with stiff pages, Superman does not really look like he is. And now, using his whole weight is... I'm not saying this is bad or something. It's just... It feels more like a slap than an actually punch, if you know what I mean. According to his body language. He also using his heat vision. Superman's a little bit in trouble. He says, hey, I can use some help here. But then Alex says, hey, you think too small. You need to do something different to help Superman. So, and then Kal says, hey, I got an idea. Idea is pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. Like I said, I like Green Lantern. I love all these constructs and something new and fresh, So, yeah, they defeated. Yeah, never saw it coming. I'll admit I'm impressed. Not bad for a Green Lantern who even never heard of the Guardians of the Universe. So, yeah, and, So Superman says, hey, you're a good guy. And also say, hey, you mean the blue guys, these Guardians? Yeah. So he has questions, and Superman needs to do his thing. He also says, hey, if you ever need a friend or want to have someone to talk to, reach out to me. And he grabs this Mongul, and he's been thrown back into the prison. I'm not sure what this is. This is holding... What is this? It looks like a vacuum cleaner. I do not know what that is. So, yeah. All well and well, something like that. He said, and Alex says, what's that look? I was just thinking, this was my first test, my first real one with a big-time villain, and I passed. With a little bit of help. Sure, but still, I passed. I'm starting to believe I can really do this. I'm starting to believe. I like that. Reminds me of the Rainbow Raider. There's a meme on the internet. The Rainbow Raider is a Flash villain, by the way, and he says, I believe in me, and he just shouts at the stars. Never forget that. It's great. And then we go to the government spooks, and they found some kind of an object that is green, but they cannot crack it. They used a lot of resources to find out what it is, and they think it's extraterrestrial. Or they're pretty sure of it. So I thought, if it's extraterrestrial, why are you touching it with your bare hands, you idiot? And in front of him, there is a guy, right? And So basically, this guy needs to prove if he's gonna, take on the assignment. So Mr. Deacon is pulling a gun on this guy. And then, well, the gun doesn't do anything because the bullets are not penetrating his skull. So this guy, I know exactly who he is, by the way, then breaks this guy, this Mr. Deacon's hand. He says, satisfied? Quite sure. So this is of a dossier of all the intelligence gathered thus far. It should contain everything you need to know. Best lead, we have a woman named Alexandra Alex DeWitt. I trust then we can depend on you in this affair. Major Force. Yeah. Cool design. What's with resolution suddenly? He says, you want the whole hands or just the ring? Now, Major Force can be a cool player. He's pretty powerful. He tackled with Captain Adam once upon a time, or multiple times. He's pretty strong. He has also this, I believe, same-ish powers his whole body is encased in this liquid. I believe similar to Captain Adam. Not entirely sure. But yeah. We're going to see that what's happened in the next issue. And if the next issue is what I remember, it's going to be a heavy one. Guys, stick around. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I see you on the next one. Bye-bye.